So there's pressure on to increase your cognition anyway. And this is the time of ascendancy for the people who are that smart to begin with. There's going to be people clawing their way up that embankment to get to where their level is. They're already there. This is their time to celebrate who they are, what they can do, what they are. And it's time to pitch the stereotype that you're just, you're a pathetically tiny minority. I'm doing my Peter Griffin voice there in case you didn't catch it. But that's a Peter Griffin stupid idea. That just because they're a minority that they should be caged or stigmatized. But just intuitively, you have to show that there's people out here who get you. I'm talking as a near gifted to the gifted who are watching this. We have to show you that there's people out here who do get you, who do get your value. And we want to open up the channels of appreciation so you can be exactly who you are. And you have appreciation from those you can't embrace among yourselves. And access to space that's exclusively those who are like yourselves. That you can have, I don't mean to use this word out of context, a think tank where there's nobody in the room who's going to say, sorry, I don't get that. Nobody in the room you're going to have to explain things twice to. And you have the same interplay that the average people would have been having among themselves, except that instead of talking about which bridge should they close, you're going to be talking about some kind of bridge equation in the theory of relativity. And, oh yeah, sure, definitely this version is better than that one. I don't know why anybody doesn't get that. Be like that. And then there's things that have to be worked out that I don't have even close to an answer to yet, but I just get the idea that there should be a way to do it. And so far, instead of looking for ways to do it, we're just having excuses for why, oh, it would be a task. Let's just find a way to escape the task. The only people that are going to get hurt are a very tiny minority anyway. This idea that any sufficiently small minority is inherently expendable. This is a paradox of giftedness, that the more gifted someone is, the rarer they were. Is there some kind of a actual convergence point where you gotta make a cutoff point? And I'm not going to even bother trying to answer that question, because just with the ones that we've been able to see so far, haven't seen it yet. Right now you might be talking about there's somebody has an IQ of 194. Is that person too rare to worry about? I don't know. After we get the cyber enhancements, we might be looking, oh, here comes somebody with an IQ of 200. Well, that person with the IQ of 194 probably isn't that rare anymore. There's probably more people moved up to that level. And then it gets a little bit higher every year. And if you want to put Moore's Law or whatever that one is for the computers getting smarter every year, whenever the computers are starting to enhance people's cognition, then you're going to have people that are performing, that rate might increase faster than linear 2, even though that sounds contradictory to physiology. They might find biological ways to enhance the substrate for these interfaces to work. And you actually could have accelerating cognitive level in humans whenever the two technologies are combined. So are you still going to call a person with 194 IQ a negligible minority at that point also? I doubt it. there's this idea that it's what's the word? Trying to select for an oligarchy, but the problem is that it's not to give them control of other people. Maybe we're afraid of them. Maybe we should be. But I don't think that it's a paranoia driven thing. I really think that it's a pity thing, a pity panic thing, where they're thought of as needy freaks or vulnerable freaks that are a drain on resources because of having to be accommodated out of proportion to their numbers. But that's really stupid on the fact that if we learn how to accommodate their abilities, they would compensate us way out of proportion to whatever this investment would have been. And it's hard even to grasp how great that would be. And all I can say is I've seen it up close. It's not a joke. There has to be an interface. And the near gifteds have to be able to interface with the non gifteds to convince them that, or to be able to try to explain what the gifteds have told to us, to explain that to them. Or we could also coach the gifted. We could be like, beta listeners. First, see if you can get this idea through to a near gifted, see how hard that is, and then amplify it for a non-gifted. That's another role that near gifteds can play. We want to have as much of a transition bridge as possible because there is a big separation between the two. And near gifted should be briefed on what the gifteds are doing and explain it to us so we can understand it, so we can follow what you're talking about. We cannot promote an idea we do not understand simply based on what we would call our so-called faith in you. Because just because you're smart doesn't mean you're honest. You have to prove it to us too, of course. And in order for us to judge whether it's true or not, we've got to understand it. So explain it to us so that we can understand it. And so far, all you're telling us is that the gifteds don't care. And that's, that's going to work on non-gifteds who will believe things out of the box because they don't want to examine it, they don't want to analyze it, they don't like doing those things, and they don't have any insight either. So it may as well be that way as far as they know, as far as they're concerned. Now we're close enough, we see through it. We know the experience, the idea of the only way being treated exactly like everybody else works is if you are just like everybody else, and you're not. And you're not a special needs person like somebody who would be below average. You're somebody who you try to talk to other people that don't even bother trying to understand it. The idea that you just want to assimilate, that was the word I was looking for 3 videos ago when I said to blend in. That's the worst concession. That is the most abnormal and necessary despair. It is not indicated. I said abnormal, I meant contraindicated. The idea that you've given up on that, I'm not buying that. You've just had one too many clashes with the ignorant. I'm not one of the ignorant. We got to start this over, people. If I have to work harder, that I can actually become a gifted person myself, that's something I'm strongly contemplating trying to do so I can actually be in your fraternity and work with it, work at it with you, and show that this response of is not necessary. And I know I didn't make my point. This is as good as I'm going to get tonight with this. And I'm going to close out now. Sorry about that. Bye.